Hi there, my name's Zach, and I just wanted to show you the rock lights that I just installed on my 2013 Rubicon 10th anniversary. And I did run everything in to this S-Pod. I put two rock lights up front. I recessed them in the skid plate, this Poison Spider bumper skid plate. And I made these aluminum brackets that mount to the bar there behind. I went with aluminum so I didn't have to worry about rust and corrosion. They were easier to make here with the tools that I had. I'll show you a quick clip of how I bent and cut the aluminum to make those brackets. Taking this, I've got this piece of aluminum sheeting. I'm not sure what gauge this is or anything, but it's maybe 1/16 of an inch thick, or maybe not quite that much. Just a little tip, and again, I'm no expert, but I don't really have a bandsaw or the right kind of equipment to cut this aluminum. So what I did is I took a right angle and I took a razor blade and I just scored it along here and just kind of went over it a couple of times with the razor blade, and then you just put it in this vise right on that line, and then just kind of bend this back and forth like this, and there you go. This is the first bracket that I made, and I think it's going to work. Basically, it's going to slide and show you how this. So it's going to mount flush against the back bar that goes through there. I'll center it in this and then mount the light to that. It's now mounted up to the bracket. And we'll go ahead and put it in the bumper. Got it bolted in there to that bar. I kind of kicked it on a little bit of an angle so the light would come out of there at a bit of an angle. And one down, 11 to go. Okay, so put two in the front. Then I put one in each of these wheel wells, tucked back enough that they're not going to, the tires aren't going to hit those. And then under the driver's, under the front doors, under the passenger doors, again I made a bracket here. I also used some some heavy duty double stick tape, and then on these I used some stainless steel grabber screws, since there wasn't really any good way to get up behind there with a bolt. I also, all the holes that I drilled, I was sure to paint to try to help prevent some of the rust. Mounted some up here, and there's these rear wells, and then I brought the wire down in through that hole, existing hole that was there. And then two more in the back, also in brackets. And these actually mount in through some existing holes that were in that rear cross member for, I think, the stock bumper. But I just made the bracket use that stock location so that I don't have to worry about drilling any other additional holes. So that's pretty much it. There's a total of 12 lights, and I went out last night, tested it out. I'll show you a couple pictures from that. And last thing that I'll point out is in wiring these up, I still have a little bit of zip tying to do here, but you can see how I basically just ran a positive and a negative line from the S-pod down each side. And from that positive and negative line, I just tapped in for each light. And instead of just buying a T-tap or something, I decided that I would solder. I would just tap into the wire and solder each connection and then independently wrap that up. I think it works pretty good. And I will show you a quick clip of the method that I used to solder in and tap into each of those wires. So this is the method that I used to tap into the wires. Instead of cutting the wire and soldering everything together, I just figured the more times you cut the line and interrupt that main line going down, the more margin for error you have, or the more opportunities you have for that to fail. So I never cut as I mentioned, I ran a positive and a negative down each side, and I never cut those lines. I terminated those lines from the S-pod and then down to the very last light, and then every light in between I would just basically cut in. If I can get this to focus. So I'd just basically cut into the wire like this, and I'd spread those wires apart. And then, oh, this is going to be interesting. Let's see. Here we go. So then I would take the line I'm tapping in with, and I would just put that through like this, and then twist it around, twist it together. So that makes a really solid connection there, and then I would solder this, both positive and negative, and then wrap each of those individually with some good electrical tape. And I use this Super 88 electrical tape, just a good heavy duty electrical tape that will hold up to the heat and the cold. Soldered that up. After that was soldered, I would then zip tie the 4 lines together so that there's nothing that can pull that loose. And then after zip tying, I wrap the whole connection with electrical tape as well. And then, as you saw in the video, I also had that black wire shield that I put over any of the exposed areas along the frame as I ran it down the frame. Hopefully that'll give you guys some ideas, and let me know if you found this video to be helpful, or if you want me to post anything else related to that project. I'd be happy to. So, all right, thank you.